I am more than willing to predict when the history of our day is written, the scandal you are watching unfold is going to be like the Teapot Dome scandal was in the 1920s, and maybe bigger. It's going to be bigger than Watergate.
Donald Trump supporter Rudy Giuliani and Donald Trump himself in Tampa, Florida this afternoon on message attacking Hillary Clinton. I want to bring in Jennifer Jacobs, national political reporter for Bloomberg Politics, Victoria DeFrancesco, MSNBC contributor and professor at the University of Texas. Good to see you both. It's always interesting to see Rudy Giuliani. Jennifer, he was a little bit quiet during the primaries, but he's taken this very prominent role in the campaign in recent days. You just heard him. He's been somebody who's been going after Hillary Clinton's supposed health problems, comparing the latest troubles to Watergate, as we saw in that clip there. What do we think about this, I guess, newly strong relationship between Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani?
Right. I know that they have always respected each other. They've been close throughout this campaign, but it does seem like Rudy Giuliani is taking a more front of the arrow kind of an attack these days. He mirrors what Trump says. He accentuates what Trump says. He's also like a cheerleader for Trump. He gets Trump's confidence boosted up. He talks about how the big crowds are an indication how Trump can really win. So, and that's something that's important for a campaign. It's really hard for a campaign to get its supporters out and to do door knocks and to do some of that necessary work when they're really down in the polls, if the spirits are low. So Rudy Giuliani acts as somebody who says, we're going to win this, we can do this, and he accentuates everything that Donald Trump says and follows up on it.
It is going to be interesting to follow, though, Victoria, because there haven't been a lot of people who Donald Trump would listen to when there were critics who were saying, you have to moderate your message, on and on and on. You need to get your ground game up and going. What do you make of the, I guess, influence in what we're hearing is that increasingly he is one of the people who Donald Trump will call on a regular basis, who he respects, whose opinion he will take. What do you think that means for the campaign, Victoria?
I think Rudy Giuliani is going to be an attack dog as we go forward. So we've seen Trump wear a couple of different faces where he tones it down and then he pumps it back up and tones it down. I think he may be looking to 75 days left until the general election and tone it down, stay on the teleprompter. But in doing that, he loses that charisma that was so classic to him. And I think this is where Rudy Giuliani perfectly steps in. Rudy Giuliani can be very vibrant, very charismatic, and they have the same persona. They're tough New Yorkers. They tell it like it is. So I think this is going to be so critical going forward, where I don't want to say good cop and bad cop, but loud cop and more measured cop.
Well, I don't think there was a lot of measuring when we heard from Donald Trump today, or what we've heard from him in his immigration plan, even though there's been some talk about whether he's moderating it. Congressman Steve King was on CNN earlier today saying he thinks it'd be a mistake if Trump shifted on his plan. Let's play a little bit of that.
I think that there's much more out there that says that he's going to follow through on his commitments on immigration.
If he did move off this position, though, you think it would be a mistake?
Oh, I think it'd be a mistake if he moved off of the position.
So, Victoria, the whole idea of deportation and having a group that gets, 11 million people, 12 million people out of this country, and the idea that we hear from people like Steve King, and earlier we heard from Ann Coulter about their concerns about him moderating that position. Is this what he's doing? Does it have anything to do with courting the Latino vote in your mind?
It does, Chris. I mean, he knows that he has the Republican base locked down, and I think that's where he's going to stay true to his call for building a border wall. But at the same time, he's looking at the same polls we are, and he knows that he needs to capture a larger percentage of the Latino vote. So in order to be competitive in the general election, he's going to need at least high 30s, low 40s of the Latino vote. And right now in the latest NBC poll, he's at 22%. So I think he's trying to have it both ways. He's trying to lock down his base by pumping up the wall, but at the same time speaking to Latinos and maybe moderate Republicans and saying, look, mass deportation, I've talked about it, but we're not going to do it. We're going to go with a more humane approach. And I wouldn't be surprised if he also brings up the cost of deporting so many folks, between 400 and 600 billion, and why he's backing off the mass deportation. So I think he's going to try to have it both ways.
So, Jennifer, how's he doing walking that line, trying to bring in the Latin vote, but at the same time trying to keep those in the base who loved what he said originally so much? Going to build a big wall, beautiful wall. Mexico's going to pay for it, going to get rid of all the people.
Right. He's had somewhat of a dual message this week. His new campaign manager said that this week was going to be Immigration Week, and he has been talking about that. But he's also been really appealing to minority voters, Hispanics, as you know. But, you know, he talks about how he predicted in Tampa today how he thinks that refugees and illegal immigrants are going to be pouring across the borders, and he said they're going to be doing bad, bad things. Just watch. And then he talked in Tampa last night about how immigrants in the country illegally have killed children. He pulled parents up onto the stage who had children who are killed. But then he goes on and he makes another pitch to Hispanics, and he talks about how they have the right to have, you know, not live in poverty and own their own homes and to live in great neighborhoods. And he called African Americans great people. So he's got this dual message going on where he's speaking to both. And I do know from the campaign that the grassroots folks have been, you know, calling and emailing and pretty much blowing their doors off, saying, don't let him change on his deportation position. And they have noted, and to be fair, it is true that he has always called for following the law. He's always said rule of law, enforce the law, deport, but do it humanely, and that is still what he's saying. So I don't think you'll see him move off of that point of enforcing the rule of law. That's what's really important to that base.
Jennifer Jacobs, Victoria DeFrancesco, thanks very much. Appreciate it.